welcome to In Focus. Again, I'm Steve Hare, your host. Our guest in studio today are Kevin Overbay, Chelan County Commissioner for District 1. And joining Kevin, we have Blake Baldwin, who is serving now as the county's Economic Development Director, as I understand, correct?
Correct, yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve.
Kevin, welcome.
Thank you, Steve.
We've talked to the commissioners in the past a little bit about economic development, which is the topic of our talk today, and specifically the concept of opportunity zones and how the county is going to be using this concept as a way to attract more businesses to the valley here. And Kevin, with that, I'm going to have you go ahead and explain what the opportunity zones are, a little primer for our viewers, and how we're pursuing new business.
Absolutely. So the opportunity zones came out of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. And what they are, it's an investment opportunity for capital gains investment. And so initially when they were designed, they're designed to be an investment tool to help offset impoverished communities or areas of communities that are impoverished. And so for the Chelan County area, we have 3 opportunity zones. The downtown core is one of the opportunity zones, the south end of Wenatchee, and then the unincorporated county portion to the south, basically to Kittitas County. So really it kind of starts at Fifth Street and works its way all the way to the south end of the county. And what it does is it provides an investment opportunity for whether it be housing or new business, startups to improve existing infrastructure pieces or properties. And what it really was to do is to spark that component of that investment. So what it does is it defers capital gains tax. And how it defers that is the tax that's paid. So if you receive a capital gain, and you can defer up to 85% of that, or excuse me, up to 15% of that in making this investment, as long as the investment is up to 7 years. If it is less than 7 years, then it's a 10% investment piece. And if you invest those dollars for up to a 10-year period of time, then any monies that are made off of that investment are also tax-free.
Oh.
And so it really gives incentive for folks to be able to shift some of that tax burden on their capital gains. The capital gains piece as well, the 85% that would be remaining, can actually be shifted or basically deferred for up to a 5-year period as well. And then that tax would then come due. So it can be paid over the 5-year period or paid in a balloon payment at the end.
So how many opportunity zones do we have here in the state of Washington?
There are a little over about 150 opportunity zones. I know the governor's office had 139 opportunity zones. Counties that had ADOs or economic development pieces, depending on their populations and the number of census tracts that they identified that would fit into this. Basically, the cutoff was 10. And so if it was less than 10, each county received 1 opportunity zone that they could designate themselves. If it was over 10 and under 20, it would be 2, and so forth as it came about. So what we were able to do, working with the City of Wenatchee and the Malaga Council, was actually able to apply for one of the 139 eligible zones that were open for statewide opportunity, and we received that zone for the south end. And then there were 8 contiguous zones that didn't necessarily meet the census tract data, but were contiguous to and could show potential growth. And so we were able to also be awarded one of the 8 statewide zones as well, which is the south end of the county, including the Malaga-Alcoa area.
Okay, now we're also partners also with several other jurisdictions.
We are. So when we had the opportunity to put this thing together, we thought to ourselves, we could sit here and compete against our neighbors across the river in other communities, or, we basically could say, we could all rise together. And so what we did is we got together a consortium of entities, and so we now created the North Star Opportunity Zone, and that is actually made up of Chelan and Douglas County, Okanogan County, Ferry County, and the Colville Confederated Tribes.
Well, Chelan County was really early into the game. You got a good head start on creating this and establishing the opportunity zones. How does that compare with what's going on around the state right now, with what we're doing here?
Right now, we are actually really on the forefront of this. We thought we were behind. We thought we had to try to play catch up. There was one opportunity zone that really kind of came out at the forefront, and that was the Emerald Coast, and that's over on the coastal counties of Washington State. But what we've been able to do, they actually hired an individual to do all of that. Ours is more of a grassroots, it's a collective. And what we've been able to do is we've actually been able to eclipse that. And now we are getting a lot of attention from Department of Commerce as well as other entities.
Let's talk to Blake Baldwin, bring him into the conversation. So what is your role in all of this, Blake?
Yeah, well, I'm coming a little bit late to the game. I know that this has been kind of in the works for well over a year, and so I've been with the county now as Economic Development Director just since September. So I'm kind of hopping on the bandwagon of the success. But in my role as Economic Development Director for the county is really serving as a liaison between the county, particularly the Board of County Commissioners, and other community groups, whether that be the Port District, who is the designated ADO, which stands for the Associated Development Organization. So they receive funding from, now our regional port receives funding from both Chelan and Douglas counties as our designated economic development entity. So my role isn't necessarily to duplicate the efforts of the port, but to really serve as a complementary, in a complementary role, kind of working as community liaison. So when it comes to North Star Opportunity Zone, I've been joining Commissioner Overbay and just kind of acting as a liaison between the North Star group and as a staff level member and the Board of County Commissioners.
So how are things coming together?
Very well, actually. We had our meeting last month, so we meet monthly. And we basically created our mission statement last month. We do have a website up. It's northstaroz.com. And but we also decided that what we need to do is we need to do an education piece. And so we are actually drafting and creating a Oz University, so people can understand exactly what opportunity zones are, how they can invest in those zones. And also we're creating a strategic plan moving forward with regards to how, one, we learn from one another, each one of the communities, what's benefiting each one, because they're unique, but they're also similar. And so what are the lessons that are being learned, within that, and we're sharing that knowledge, but also setting forward a strategic plan to ensure that our real estate agents, for example, are marketing the properties in opportunity zones to their fullest extent, that we're able to develop and implement some qualified opportunity funds, some QOFs. And so we're really right on the ground floor of breaking out of this. The rules really just came out within the last few months, and so now we're really starting to hit the ground running on that piece.
So you say there's a housing development, or housing development also included as a component of this?
Absolutely. So there's multiple ways in which opportunity funds can be spent. And you can look at private-public partnerships with regards to housing. And I'll use an article that just came out last week, or a story that broke last week about the Cascadian. We'll use that as an example. We have HUD housing there that's going to be in effect for the next year. And then we're going to have 85 folks that potentially may be looking for a place to live, because of their limited income, and that would no longer necessarily fit that. So how do we look at opportunities within those zones to say, what can we as a government entity be able to facilitate, whether it be funding that comes in from the Department of Commerce through community development block grants, funding that we currently have through our 09 funding, or other funding sources to potentially purchase property and then work with a developer to where they can invest into that property to seek a return, but we're able to do it at a lower rate because then we have already put the initial investment into the property.
Gotcha.
And then be able to turn that over to an entity for management and eventual ownership like the Housing Authority. And so what that does is that increases capacity. So there's a philanthropic side, and then there's a regular investment return side.
So this education component, is this kind of a web-based thing, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, it actually will be both live and web-based. And so what we'll be doing is being able to post our education pieces either in video and or PowerPoint, for a self-guided course on our site. But we'll also have teams that will actually be going out to educate groups, whether it be through chambers of commerce, real estate, like North Central Washington Association of Realtors, and other entities like that.
Okay, because I did notice on your website, the Chelan County website, some information regarding opportunity zones. What other types of methods are you using to market or advertise what we have here? Obviously, we're in competition with others around the state. What makes us different and unique?
Well, our site itself is actually specific to each community, but still collective. And so when you go to the northstaroz.com site, what you'll be able to do is actually click on each community and see on a standardized format, properties that are available, opportunities that are out there that are available. And as those opportunities come up, we continue to update that site. And so really what we are more of a facilitation group to facilitate investment, to offer up what we have, and also working with our ports, because our ports are part of our partnership in this piece, because they themselves have their own marketing site as well that is actually linked to the North Star site. So we're able to direct the traffic of folks to what the information that they need.
When realistically can we expect to see some results or things materialize here?
Our hope is that we'll actually start to be able to post some of the projects as well as some qualified opportunity funds within this year. That's what we're really hoping for. That's what we're shooting for anyway. That's our goal.
What kind of interest are we getting out there? Are we getting any feelers?
Well, right now, none that I've been made aware of, but I know that collaboratively that some of our partners up in Ferry County, Okanagan County have been really successful in trying to gain investors from outside groups as well.
Interesting, that certainly Chelan, Douglas County, in fact, all of north central Washington is ag dependent. Are we looking at maybe going away from that in terms of our future economic development, or?
I can speak to that a little bit.
Go ahead.
I am fortunate to sit on all of the working groups for our Valley Our Future. So, I've become acquainted with Steve Maher, and he's invited me to sit on all of these. And so one thing that our Tech Hub working group has been talking about recently is the future of agriculture and technology, and how to marry those two industries. And so I think we are looking forward to having some agricultural representatives join that group. But I think opportunity zone aside, of course there are ways that we can leverage this kind of growing interest in this new economy, ag tech. But I think just opportunity zone aside, there is a significant opportunity there in the future for this region.
I've heard that maybe developing further the research and development arm of the ag industry through the research center here.
Well, yeah, quite the perfect place to do it, and we have a lot of bright people here in the tree fruit, innovation side of things, and we also have a lot of just community assets when it comes to low power and technology resources here as well, like the fiber infrastructure. So we're really set up for a lot of success there, and I think it's just about getting the right people at the table to talk about how we can make that happen.
Is there any room within an opportunity zone for, let's say, tourism-based types of business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that we're actually embarking upon this year is going to be taking a look at a recreational plan, comprehensive plan, taking a look at a trails and pathways plan. And, what does that mean for the existing trails that we have? What infrastructure do we need to invest in and put into place? And the thing that I think often gets forgotten is we talk about tourism and we have capital facilities that we build. We really need to build it first for the citizens that live here. It's about the quality of life for the folks that are here. We want to make sure that our folks are able to enjoy these amenities as well. The ancillary benefit is the tourism piece, the tourism driver. And as you start to see more and more things develop, whether it's the mountain biking or trail hiking or whatever, you're going to see businesses that are going to crop up in support of that. We're starting to see more and more lodging facilities that are being built in our community. And so when we take a look at this, one of the areas that we do kind of fall short on is multi-purpose athletic fields. We rely upon our PUD, which has been great, with regards to the recreational piece. But what does that look like for each community? And is there a way of locating multi-purpose athletic fields to where every community can prosper within our region here, from their placement, but also from the growth that comes along with the support that happens with the activities that occur there?
Well, it's changing times here in Chelan County, and trying to keep up with those changing times. That's the challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. That one thing that's guaranteed is change is about. But the upside that for us is we have an opportunity to kind of guide and direct that change to where we still don't lose the community feel that we have, but that we are able to bring a better quality of life for the citizens here in Chelan County.
Fantastic.
There really are. I mean, there is a challenge, of course, with this opportunity zone. I mean, the point of the program is to really to lift a lot of these communities that are designated opportunity zones out of whatever situation that community might be in that led them to become a zone in the first place, whether that's a lack of affordable housing and jobs or poverty, whatever their situation is. And so there is no guarantee that an investor that will benefit benefit from the incentives of the opportunity zone will come in and invest in a project that will actually help these communities lift out of whatever situation they might find themselves in. So that's where a benefit like the North Star Opportunity Zone Group comes into play, where we can really take a look at market and strategize together and really steer the future and the direction of how we see economic development, not only directly within these opportunity zones, but indirectly within the county and our quad county and region as a whole. So,
Well, good luck going forward on this project.
Thank you.
Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around it.
thank you.
Absolutely.
I want to thank Kevin Overbay and Blake Baldwin for joining us here on In Focus today. Anything you'd like to add in closing?
It's been a great, I've been able to do this for 3 years. It's been a great 3 years. We've been able to really take a proactive approach, and I just really look forward to what our future holds and the great things that we're going to be able to do in the community. I look forward to having Blake on board. It's going to be great for him for the 3 pieces that he's going to be doing, which is economic development, advocacy, as well as being able to identify additional dollars to bring into our community. So just really looking forward to what the future holds.
And you'll make your mom and dad proud.
I sure hope so. That's always at the forefront of my mind with every move I make. So no, I'm really happy to be home. Thanks for having me on with the commissioner today, Steve.
You betcha. And thanks for joining us here on In Focus. I'm Steve Hare, NCW Life.